Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining me for another video. My name is Stephanie. I am a life and relationship coach. If you are not a subscriber to this channel, don't forget to click on the subscribe button down below and click on post notifications so you can receive an update every time I do upload a new video. So this week I want to dive into being okay with being single, and I have a lot of people on social media or clients that really struggle with this, and I know it's something that a lot of people have a tough time with. It's like, on one hand, the minute they get single, they're like, I'm single, yay, and they kind of embrace it, and then it gets to a certain point where they don't embrace it anymore, and it becomes something that they're either fearful of or they're not really enjoying being single because we can't force ourselves to be in relationships. I mean, I guess we kind of can, but they would probably be unhealthy or toxic ones, so we won't always pick the best partner. So while we are single, how can we be okay with it, and how can we be really authentically happy in the space that you're in right now? So one of the things that I want to talk about is the pressures that our society puts on us. And unfortunately, whether you go to the movies, whether you watch something on TV, everything talks about being in a relationship. Valentine's Day is obsessed with the idea, not just of love, and people want to say, well, it's about love. Yes, it actually is about love, but unfortunately, the way it's marketed, it's about couples linking up. And so there's so much pressure, either from our society, from television, from our family and friends. Hey, I just want you to meet someone good and settle down with. I just want you to meet a nice girl and be okay. I want you to find a nice man that'll take care of you, and you know, you can get married and blah, blah, blah. So because of all of these pressures that are put on us, we sometimes feel like something's wrong with us. You know, we have this pressure that we should be in a relationship, we should get married by a certain age, we should have kids, we should do this is where I should be at this point in my life. And because of all of those stories, it allows us to not be okay when we're not at that phase of life, right? When that hasn't actually happened for us yet. So when we are single, we aren't really enjoying being single. The other thing is, because of the world we live in and social media, it's very easy for us to just go on Instagram and see all of the happy couples that are together, and you know, couples goals, and just all of these images of perhaps family or friends or even strangers that are getting proposed to, and just all of this smoke and mirrors, basically all of this sunshine. But we don't really expose on social media the arguments, the fights, the unhealthy relationships, the difficult times that couples have to go through. We don't really expose that. So unfortunately, we're just constantly seeing, again, more pressure that, oh, I want this, oh, look at this. And it puts this void sometimes in ourselves that, why don't I have that? Why haven't I ever had that? Am I ever going to get that? And that's when all of these fear-based stories kind of start. So it's not to say that people that display happiness on social media actually aren't happy, but they possibly are in those moments, but they also, we don't tend to show the difficult stuff that we go through, and that not every relationship's perfect. And sometimes it's easy for us to look at those images of our friends or whoever, even strangers, and feel that jealousy of like, oh, I want that. And I don't have that, right? Coming from that lack. First, it always starts with self-worth. So for me, being okay with being single was the fact that I knew, because I deserved it, that I would meet someone at some point in my life. And I knew that I had to learn how to really love myself and be my own best friend. And I had to understand what that meant. And what that meant was, if you're not okay with being single, that means that you don't know how to mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually take care of yourself. That's basically what that means. You haven't learned how to be your own best friend. You haven't learned how to be your own support system. Now, are there going to be times when you're going to feel lonely, feel like you want connection with another person? Absolutely. Are there going to be times when you would love a good spoon? Absolutely. Like, you're a human being. But for the most part, all of the things that you're craving, attention, validation, going out, a best friend that's a go-to, that I'm never alone, right? Someone to go to Christmas parties with or spend Valentine's Day with, whatever it is. All of that is because of the stories that you tell yourself, and because you haven't learned how to, like I said, take care of yourself emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually. So when you look at those 4 categories, think of this person that you want to meet someday. and think of all of these areas mentally, emotionally. What will your partner give you in those areas? And are you giving those to yourself right now? So for me, of course, I always wanted to meet someone that would be my biggest cheerleader, someone that would like validate me, encourage me, support me, motivate me, but I could never find that until I learned how to do it for myself. And a lot of that has to do with your self-talk, and a lot of that has to do with self-parenting, and that's what I teach day in and day out. So being okay with being single is more than embracing your single self and travel and get out there more. Yes, all of those things are so, so important. If you don't have the relationships in your life that you would like to have, then it's your responsibility to put yourself out there and form new relationships. Whether that's you getting out of your comfort zone to ask the girl that you work with, hey, you want to grab a drink after work? Or maybe sometime you want to grab dinner? Or going on dates. You can totally go on dates and still enjoy being single, but looking at dates as another social channel versus like something. Is this the guy? Is this gonna be our first date? Is this the guy I'm gonna marry? Is this, all of that pressure, rather than just saying, okay, I'm on a date with someone, we'll see what happens, but I'm just trying to have a good time. I'm trying to just like be in the moment and embrace life. And that's another thing that's really huge, is being in the moment. So when you're living in the moment, when you're practicing mindfulness, that is where happiness lives, because you're not thinking about yesterday and you're not worried about tomorrow. Whenever we're not in the moment, we're not practicing mindfulness, we are constantly either thinking about the past or worrying about the future. And worrying about the future are all the what ifs. That's all the fear. Even, focusing on the past, getting angry and not forgiving someone for past wrongs, or holding on to what someone did to you in your past and having that trickle into like new relationships. All of that stuff is literally in the past, and it should have no business in your future. And being aware of, again, where are all my wounds, and what do they look like, and why do I have them, and where do they come from? That way, when you get triggered in life, oh, this is coming from what happened to me 3 years ago, and this is why I'm overreacting right now. This is why I'm not taking responsibility for what I think and how I feel, and I'm putting it on someone else, and I'm projecting. This is why I am projecting with this new guy that I'm dating who I want him to be, because maybe I don't know what I want. Maybe I don't know how I want to be treated, or if I do, maybe I don't think that it really exists, and maybe I'm settling. So learning about yourself, this period in your life is the best place to be, because this will allow you to become the person that you need to be in order to attract what it is that you say you want. And that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you right now, but self-improvement, self-development is a continuous process. We're always growing, we're always in new experiences, and so learning, okay, how can I take better care of myself? That's basically what self-development is. What am I not giving myself that I know I could be doing better at? Do I not talk to myself in a nice way? Do I not validate how I feel? Do I shame myself? Do I make myself feel guilty for doing certain things? Am I nervous to put myself out there because I have a fear that maybe no one will like me? So working on that, that's why I always say self-parenting is huge. It literally is. It affects every area of your life. That's mental health right there, is how you talk to yourself. How do you handle that lonely Tuesday night? I always say the conversations you have inside are either going to help you or they're going to hurt you. And any fear-based negative conversation, number one, is not reality. It's a fear that you have, and you can either feed the fear or you can tell the fear to bug off, because the fear isn't real. The fear is just a story that you created for whatever reason. What mom and dad downloaded into you when you were a kid, experiences that you had growing up. It really doesn't even matter at this point. Just acknowledging where the fear is. Oh, here comes fear. Oh, here comes some negative self-talk. How do we get rid of those things? Learning how to self-parent, like I always say, doing affirmations, doing meditations, practicing being in the moment. When you're in the moment, even when you're having anxiety, even when you're feeling nervous or anxious, I always tell myself, there's nothing to fear in this moment. In this moment, nothing is happening that I should be fearful of. There's not a fire, someone's not trying to break in my house, there's not a tornado down the road, there's nothing for me to worry. I don't have to have my retirement already set up in my account right now. Like, there's nothing. There's just this moment that we're in. And when we're working on these small moments and embracing life where we are, regardless of your status, that's happiness. That will allow you to go on dates. That will allow you to be confident. That will allow you to be authentically happy. So I could have definitely made this video and given you all the reasons why you should embrace your single self, and hey, go out with your girlfriends, and hey, go get a makeover and spend some money on a new wardrobe and go to the gym and get into better shape. And all of those things are really huge. Don't get me wrong, and they're really important, because being single is actually a great point in your life, because it allows you to be extremely selfish. And when I was single, and I was single for 4 years, that was my time to do whatever I wanted. I didn't have to keep the TV on if I wanted to shut it off before I went to bed. I could stay up as late as I wanted to, and no one was like, hey, you're gonna come to bed? It was just none of that. It was just my time. And so I utilized it as much as I could. And even on years where my birthday's in January and I live in Boston and there's always a snowstorm, I would plan every birthday party and I would invite whoever I love and cared about, whether it was 2 people or 10 people, and I would say, hey, anyone want to come? And whoever came was great, but I knew regardless if it was 1 person or no people and I was home that night, that I was going to have a good time. So I think it's all about perspective, it's all about your attitude, it's all about how you view things, and it's also about the stories you tell yourself and what stories you choose to believe. So I hope that has helped you. If you have liked this video, please comment down below and give it a thumbs up. Share it with anyone who you think would possibly benefit from this information. Don't forget to also hit subscribe, and I will see you next week.